We've had so many Havoc changes on this week's beta, so today we're going to go over them. Also, there's like some Devourer stuff, so we're going to do that too. So like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get into it. All right, everybody. Hello, Voodoo here. So we're going to get into some changes. So there actually were a lot of changes this week, mostly to Havoc, but Devourer also got some stuff, and we're going to start with Devourer in-game first because I do want to quickly go over it. Now, the stuff Devourer got is pretty minor. Realistically, the only real gameplay change is that this talent, Otherworldly Focus, now works. And this is actually a big deal. So beforehand, for people who didn't look, what would happen is you almost never really cast Collapsing Star because, well, you would, but Collapsing Star wasn't cast as much because it was a lot weaker. Big part of that was because this was just not working. So this is basically a 35% buff to Collapsing Star and Voidfall and single target, and a cleave buff as well. And this was me just doing a little bit of a test earlier. What that does, it makes Collapsing Star a lot stronger. It makes Voidfall Meteor a lot stronger too. This was on a dummy. This was like nothing really serious. Like, don't worry about the actual damage numbers. But it does make the spec, in my opinion, work a lot better. So that's really good. The big thing, which you might have already noticed, is that, well, there's a ton of new icons. Now, I don't like all of these icons. I think Void Ray is hella goofy. I think this is a really goofy looking icon. But overall, basically almost everything got a new icon. There's a few that didn't, like Spontaneous Ammo actually did get a new icon. They changed this. Get the Void didn't, Sinister Spirit didn't, Sweet Suffering, Sweet Release, the Midnight Talents, all the most of the Hero Talent stuff. I believe Deep Void Surge got a new one. But like almost everything else got a new icon, which is kind of nice. They're all basically like this voidy blue, dark purple, black thing. Now, one of the problems with that is that it does mean that your action bars do look incredibly similar. I think Throwglaive is also like a scythe now too. So we open like my talent book here, like lots of blue and everything. Oh, Throwglaive didn't actually get one. But lots of blue and everything, right? Like Vengeful Treat's blue now, Disrupt is even Void Twinge now. Void Nova's blue, Void Blade's blue, Void Metamorphosis is unchanged. Consume is this new orb thing. Reap is no longer a scythe, it's now like this own little thing. Shift is a new icon. Void has a new icon. All of these talent nodes have new icons. So pretty cool stuff. I mean, like, there's not really any other changes that happen to have a Devourer this week. I think we'll probably get some sooner because from what I gather, what's happening is that they're like alternating off weeks. But yeah, I mean, like, just a ton of new icons in general. They do look pretty cool. I will say some of them are goofy. I don't like the Void Rage one. That is the Illidan Pog face one. Soul Ammo looks fine. I don't like Void Ray. I think it's a little goofy. And then Collapsing Star is a little weird, but I think it looks fine overall. We'll talent through some options so you can see them here. So this is the Eradicate one. It does look like that on the buff. Void Glare Boon being a flower, I don't really get, but whatever. I don't like Devourer's Bite. It's like a silly little like vampire thing now, which is like fine, I guess. And then Hungering Slash is a new thing, which looks pretty cool. Similar strikes this. And then Hunt, I believe, is a bluey voidy one, which is a little bit different from the Night Fae one, which is nice. But yeah, like pretty much everything has a new looking icon, which honestly pretty snazzy. Now, my one complaint here is that they're all like the same shade of colors, like it's all the same color palette. So there might be a bit of difficulty in the first place, like figuring out what is what. Also, Shift new animation. I just noticed that it's a new blue color. Vengeful Retreat, small new animation there. It's like, you know, everything looks cool, but they are all like the same shades of blue. Also, I think it's a new stun animation too. So, you know, just a nice coat of paint. The souls look a little more voidy as well. They're kind of a little more voidy. Ignore that. That's my cast bar is cursed right now. But, you know, nothing really else looks that different. There's just a nice new coat of paint on everything, which is pretty nice. That's basically it, though. Like, there's nothing else that really happened for Devourer this week. Just kind of the new coat of paint. Oh, wait, that I think was a new Void Blade animation too. So yeah, new animations, everything's all blue. That's kind of it for Devourer. The big stuff this week is Havoc, so we're gonna go look at the notes. All right, everybody, here we are. I forgot to mention that Voidfall's icon has been updated. Everything else is basically just Devourer stuff, but Voidfall was updated, so there you go. We actually have a lot of changes. Lots and lots and lots of changes, all for Havoc, really. There's not really anything else for any other spec besides that bug fix for Devourer that was unannounced, and I don't really cover Vengeance at all. So there's a lot of stuff here. Havoc hasn't really been touched in a few weeks now. There was a 2-week break in them updating things, and then there was a period of time there where Havoc just wasn't really touched at all before that. So it's been a little while since Havoc has gotten changes. If you watched my video a little bit ago, I talked about some things I wanted to see for Havoc, and I will say they've done a lot of them, which is really good. I actually think these changes are awesome for Havoc. We are going to break it down. We're going to start with Eldrazi Reaver, which I think people were going to be a little bit negative from, but we'll talk about it. So first thing first, Thrill of the Fight has been redesigned after consuming both enhancements. So that's Reaver's, the Cow Strike and the Blade Dance buff. You gain Thrill of the Fight, increasing the damage of your next Reaver's Glaive by 30% and increasing haste by 6% for 30 seconds. So this removes the damage amp and this removes the auto attack speed amp. Now what they've done instead is give you damage amp on your Reaver's Glaive, which is fairly good. Like that's kind of what you want to do anyways. And a haste buff. The haste buff is a damage gain, but it also works to kind of cover the auto attack speed, because when you have more haste, you also gain more auto attack speed. Now the buff lasts forever, so 30 seconds. Like you're going to have this up 100% of the time. There's some weird stuff in game right now where I don't think the buff refreshes or something like that. I don't quite remember. But this is basically done because the old Thrill of the Fight didn't really align with their new design philosophies. It was a lot of overlapping buffs. It was 2 separate buffs and 1 ability, which I know confused a lot of newer players. It really just didn't really align with their goals for the game in terms of like thrill maxing and double dipping your Reaver's Glaive inside of thrill windows and ignoring a lot of things. So this does dumb down Eldrazi Reaver a little bit, but I know a lot of people when they pick up Havoc have complained about, you know, needing calculus to understand Havoc. And a lot of that is because of overlapping buff windows. And what this does, it makes this a lot easier. So this doesn't really change how you play Reaver, Eldrazi Reaver. You're still going to want to save glaives for burst windows if you need them. You will basically throw your glaive now to keep up Reaver's Mark instead of Thrill of the Fight, which is pretty much unchanged. Like you should have pretty much 100% uptime of that now, which is, you know, fine. But what this does do is just make it a lot more accessible and approachable for newer players and for players who haven't really touched Havoc before. So I think this is a great change. For the Eldrazi damage reduced by 18% and now deals reduced damage beyond 8 targets. This is, honestly, in my opinion, this is expected. I think it's crazy uncapped FOTA has lasted as long as it has, even on live, personally. 12 slashes of that thing is a ridiculous chunk of damage that all funnels into the boss, which is why Havoc's good right now. Now, what this does is it still keeps the funnel, but it does make it worse. I think this makes sense. It is a nerf, you know, tuning, whatever. What happens here is that you're going to get more souls in Midnight because of the Broken Spirit changes, which now works, by the way. People have been saying, you know, the Fury feels bad and the Soul feels bad. Well, it's because, you know, they were missing most of the generation, which now works. The thing with this is that the tier set was added to Havoc baseline, and having that tier set always there is kind of a tuning and game design nightmare when that's just always something Havoc can do. Them soft capping at 8 targets is a pretty big thing. It won't really impact a lot of pulls people do, but it will impact the really big pulls to funnel in. You'll still do funnel. You're still going to do more damage to more targets, but it's not going to be as crazy as it used to be. I believe Arcane's funnel has also been tuned back a bit, so I don't think this is like that crazy in the grand scheme of things. It makes sense for a design health point thing though, because like obviously this is worse now. But I don't think the state it was in could have lasted for a crazy amount of time. At least this still keeps it. The big thing though is that Broken Spirit A now works and B now triggers from Blade Dance. So what Broken Spirit is the replacement for the sigils being lost. So it makes the Hunt give you 1 soul every time, which Hunt now, by the way, 1 minute because of the Apex. It makes Chaos Strike give you 20% more, another chance to get souls at 20%, which is great. And that also works on Blade Dance, which is awesome. This means that, you know, every button you do can generate souls, which is great. This means that Blade Dance will be prioritized forever, which is awesome. Again, you know, always want to push Blade Dance. And this really smooths over the soul generation. Shad did a math thing. I'm not going to copy it or go over it, but we also have done sims and stuff like that. But you get more glaives in Midnight than you do right now. You have 1 minute hunt, which every time you hunt is a glaive. Every time you hunt, there's a soul. And then every time you have a 20% chance every time you Blade Dance and a 40% chance every time you Chaos Strike to get a soul. That's a lot of souls over the course of a fight. Yeah, it's a little bit of impacted by downtime, but again, like hunt is a minute, so you can overtake that basically. Other changes. Felsguard. These are awesome. This really, in my opinion, fixes Felsguard as well as some stuff down here. So, Demon Surge now deals chaos damage. Thank the Lord. This is huge. They nerfed it by 15% to compensate, but that is fine. They buffed it by more than that when they removed the mastery. Havoc's mastery is very strong. Havoc's mastery not impacting Demon Surge made 0 sense. You're going to gain more damage from this than you're losing from the 15%. Like, you are gaining a ton of damage. On live right now, Havoc has like 100% mastery. You're going to have less in the new season because of the stat squish, but you're still going to have like a lot of mastery because of how strong it is for Havoc with its scaling coefficient. This is great. They've also reduced how much you get per stack in terms of an increase in half, basically. But that is because Demon Surge now always empowers Blade Dance and Chaos Strike when you enter Demon form, even if meta is already active. What this means is that beforehand, when you'd use I-Beam in meta, you wouldn't proc an additional Demon Surges or, from Chaos Strike and Blade Dance. Now you do. That is huge. That is absolutely massive. That means in your opener burst there, where you do I-Beam, Blade Dance, Chaos Strike, meta, Immolation Aura, Seduce Flame, I-Beam, Blade Dance, Chaos Strike, I-Beam, that kind of thing. You're going from 8 Demon Surges beforehand, where you get the one from entering, 1 from I-Beam, 1 from the first Blade Dance and Chaos Strike, and then 5 from the meta, 1 from entering, and then 1 from each of the 4 abilities. You're getting 2 more on top of that, and you're also meaning that you can I-Beam inside of meta. Beforehand, it'd be like, hey, you don't want to I-Beam while you're already in meta because you lose it on 3 Demon Surges. That ain't happening anymore. You're gaining those Demon Surges now, which is awesome fix. This is great. Might even mean that Shattered Destiny is good for Felskard now, which is great. Another thing, Burning Blades now includes the First Blood portion of Blade Dance's damage. Also, Burning Blades effect reduced to 30% of listed skill damage. Whatever. This is huge. This is so big. One of the big things about Burning Blades is that it made Chaos Strike the button you want to push in every scenario. By doing this, it really buffs Blade Dance because First Blood is the majority of Blade Dance's damage, and having that just deal extra dot damage is huge. This is a big deal, especially for making Blade Dance something you always push on cooldown for Havoc, which was everyone's big complaint. So yeah, they nerfed it. That's fine. They nerfed that. Who cares? Them giving First Blood is a huge buff to that, and I'm so here for it. We do have some small nerfs to Blind Fury. Gives you less Fury. This is not really that big of a deal, honestly. It's still going to give you a ton of Fury. Like, this is nothing. A little bit less haste. Again, pretty minor. It's okay. You're going to get a lot of haste from other situations. It's not really that big of a deal. It's just a small little nerf. It's mostly fine. This does also mean that haste is a little bit more valuable for us before. One of the reasons why it wasn't as good is because we have so much of it from this. You have a little bit more value towards haste now, which is good. Though they are giving us like a ton of haste in a ton of sources, so maybe that's why. A fire and side effect now reduces the cooldown of MO by 6 seconds instead of a 30% chance to refund. I love this. This is basically a 30% cooldown reduction. This means that Immolation Aura is consistent. It is never going to get those double procs. What this means is that, yeah, you're not going to have those crazy pulls where you're proccing 6 Immolation Auras, but you're also always going to know when you're going to be able to use Immolation Aura, which is a huge deal. This is awesome. And this is the thing I really like, because it did really feel bad if you were getting like 40 Immolation Aura procs and you just delayed your opener for 10 years. But them doing this is awesome because now it's always going to be like consistent. Like, you know, it's like, okay, I'll have ammo for this pack. I'll have ammo for this ad set. I'll have ammo for this I-Beam, all that kind of things. Like, this is great. This is really fun. And this also fixes the issue of the Immolation Aura cap, which was a problem, but you can never actually hit the cap now because they've, you know, capped how many Immolation Auras you can actually generate. So very happy with this. No notes. This is an awesome change. And then finally, Netherwalk has been removed. Not that surprising here. So for those who don't know, what they did with Netherwalk is they made it a passive that made Blur give you the first 2.5 seconds Netherwalk, but you can attack during it. They also made Blur a two charge system. So effectively what that did is Havoc had a 1 minute immunity on a 2 charge system. That is that's just broken. That's incredibly broken. I was surprised it lasted as long as it did. Not surprised they removed this at all. Havoc is incredibly tanky still. Here, we're going to go, that's the last of the notes. So we're going to go back here. We'll swap over to Havoc. I'll move my face back over here. Havoc is incredibly tanky because Desperate Instincts was redesigned at the start of the beta, and it is so crazy strong. Yeah. So we have this now, right? So Blur now reduces damage taken by additional 10%. So it's always 35% reduced damage on a 2 charge, 1 minute, which is crazy. And you also just have a Will of the Necropolis effect at all times. So at all times, you are taking 10% less damage when you're under 35% health. And the thing with these effects is that any attack that hits you below that threshold triggers the reduction on any damage dealt that would be dealt below that threshold. So these are always some of the strongest effects in the game. These Will of Necropolis effects, they are crazy, crazy good. Every single time they come up, they're one of the best defensive talents you can have. And on top of that, Havoc still has their leech. We have 2 charges of Blur now, which Blur being a 35% damage reduction. So Havoc's eating really good in this upcoming expansion. They've also, fixed all the Felskard stuff. Where look, this now works on Blade Dance's First Blood, which is so much of your damage. The Demon Surge works on entering demon form. We have Broken Spirit. Hunt gives you Soul Fragment. Blade Dance Chaos Strike gives you Soul Fragments. Like, they have fixed most of my complaints with Havoc. I still wish Cycle was 20 seconds, but I think this is still a better version. And I think Havoc is really gas. There's still a few small things. Like, I think the Hunt buff you get should just last forever instead of like 12 seconds. But this is great changes. Havoc looks to be in a really good spot, and I really think that this is going to be one of the best iterations of Havoc we've had in a long time, because these are great changes, and these are really fun changes, and these are really like what I wanted to see. So, when Blizzard does well, you gotta, that's the wrong button. When Blizzard does well, you gotta hands off, clap for them. Like, these are good changes. I'm very happy with what Havoc got. And now I'm just hoping that Devourer gets some big, nice changes like this too. Because there are still some problems with that spec. If you want to see them, I made a video about it. They're all the same thing. Havoc, honestly, Havoc could ship right now to be one of the most fun iterations they've had in a long time. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys on Monday with another video of something. I don't know what. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys then. So peace. A big thank you to everyone who watches my videos, but a special shout out to my channel members. Thank you, Fear Redefined, Rohan Karnik, Correlated, Alexander Trifunovic, Loose Change, Soul Ray, Basu Terceros, Zuligan, Dupin, Spaghetti, Gabriel Correa, Magic Man 133, and Falef Airdarn Dark Terror. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate every single one of you, especially everybody who watches the videos, but also especially the channel members. If you want to help support the channel and get your name shouted out at the end of the video, as well as some other stuff, you can become a channel member down below. I appreciate everybody for watching, liking, commenting though. See you guys next time. Peace.